Okay.
Okay, William and Isa is here already, huh?
Yes.
Okay, let me share screen. Eh? Why cannot share one?
Can you?
Okay. Don't know why I have to close and then start again. Start. Okay. Okay. So, hi, good evening, everyone. Today we're going to continue the chapter 8. But before that, let's do some review. Recap about last week. Okay, we go into this chapter 8 is called sex and marriage. Okay, in this chapter, we're going to look into these two aspects. First is from biblical reasoning, and then secondly is how to live it practically. Okay, firstly, sex and marriage is used for marriage between a man and woman. Okay, not man and man, yeah, not woman and woman. Okay, then sex is for whole life self-giving. Okay, then the first question the author asks us is it sex just about an appetite? Then of course we don't fulfill the appetites like taking food or anything or what when we feel we need it then we just have it. So we're not supposed to use sex for selfish reason because sex is affect our heart and inner being also, not just the body. Okay, then second question the author asks us, is it sex is dirty? According to Bible, it's not. Okay, have many beautiful verse says that sex is created by God and is a good thing to husband and wife.
Okay, can I interrupt for a minute?
Yes, can.
Go back, back one more. Okay.
Okay.
Very important for us to understand. When does that mean that sex do not generate good feeling? That's why a lot of people argue. How can something be so good, feel so good, right? Have such be positive, but yet be bad, right? Yeah, a lot of people say that. How can something that feels so good be bad? Now, this is where something we have to understand about God design. God, when you say a design, when you look at something design, let's say Steve Jobs design, when he designed a particular Apple handphone, let's say, okay, does that mean that if a person don't follow Steve Jobs process or Steve Jobs way of using the Apple, then nothing good will come from it. Does that mean that? Let's say you have an Apple phone and you did not fully comply with the way Apple designed it to work. Does that mean that you cannot get any benefit from Apple handphone?
Sir, can you repeat the question again?
You see, that's why there's always the argument. The argument is, how can something that feels so good be wrong? How can something that feels so good be wrong? A lot of people base decision making on, oh, it feels good, so it has to be right lah. Feel good and right. Does everything that is, when you don't comply, when you don't follow the way it is designed, that means you're not right, correct? Correct? So we have to, how to say, we have to correlate feel good and right. We have to correlate. We have to know how to separate the two. That's why a lot of people, they okay, let's say go into premarital sex, okay? How to say, twisted form of sex, same sex, same gender sex, right? So when you do all this, let's say a person applies sex, same gender sex, or a twisted form of sex or premarital sex, does that mean that everything feels very bad? Yeah. So how do you argue? How do you provide an argument of, if it feels good, how can it be wrong? Honestly, there are such arguments. There are people who may come to you. How can you say it is wrong? How can you say that God says it's wrong when it feels so good? And that's why a lot of people are doing it. Premarital sex or same gender sex didn't fulfill the purpose of the Creator. Okay. What is the purpose of the Creator? What is the full intention of the Creator? What is the full intention of the Creator in providing sex? This applies to not just to sex, to everything else, to our body, to the design of our body, to the design of our brain, to the design of our of all the ecology, system of ecology in the world. Okay, if I can still produce result, what's wrong? If I can still achieve my goal, what's wrong? I achieve my goal, what? So the end justify the means. I achieve my goal. Yes. But yes, to develop intimacy and love between spouse. Okay, let me ask the question, William. Same gender sex can develop intimacy and love or not? Can, let me say that. Don't tell me the same gender sex, female or male, they don't feel intimacy. They feel. They love each other. Yes, they love each other. Yes. Okay. Now you combine the two. What does that mean?
But
When you, yeah. Sorry.
Yes, they feel intimacy. I mean, the same sexual love, they feel intimacy, but then they couldn't fulfill the purpose of God.
Okay. They do fulfill part of the purpose of God, correct or not?
Yes,
But the
but
question
just
is
part of it.
correct. Now, this is where I really want to stress. That's why in all this kind of argument, if it feels good, what's wrong? You see, one of the problem basically is this. If you don't comply fully 100% to the design, you will never experience fully 100% of its benefit. Does that make sense? That's why if you read the Bible, it talks about fullness or abundant or complete. Our journey is to bring us to completion. Completion means what? 100% complete. Not 90, not 99, not certainly not 50 or 60. That's why you still can get 50, 60, 70, 80, 90% feel good. You still can get 50, 60, 70, 80, 90% of the benefit. But whatever is lacking, let's say, to me, let's say like this. If you achieve 95%, look at the 5% that you are lacking. If you hold on to a 95% correct, the 5% will cause you harm. So at the end, your experience, depending on the impact of the 5%, your experience is not 95% fullness. Your experience is 95% minus the impact of the 5% that is not correct. So it may your 95% fullness, your 95% correct may only lead to 60, 70, 80% fullness. And that's not what God wants. God is a perfect God. When God created, it was very good. When God created Adam and Eve, right, and including sex, and put them in the Garden of Eden and oversee the whole earth, it was very good. So in other words, what I'm trying to say to you basically is this. Don't settle for a little bit good. Sex, premarital sex, same gender sex, all these still get you to experience some of the emotional goodness that God bless through sex. That's why it feels good. But it hinders you and it blocks you from ever reaching the fullness. So the question becomes, do you want to be 100% full? If you want to be 100% full, follow the design fully. When also bear in mind the mindset behind it. If you settle only for 80%, that means there is certain rebelliousness in your heart. You are disobedient 20%. But in reality, there's no such thing as disobedient 20%. Whether you are disobedient 5%, 10%, 20%, 50%, you are still disobedient. And once you start disobedient, what's stopping you from 5% disobedient to eventually move to 10%, 20%, 30%? Because your heart is disobedient. But if you want fullness and you comply with obedience, you will give up that what feels good is not good enough because you want 100% good. And that's what obedience is. Obedience strives at 100% good, not settle. Now, once you look at that way, feel good doesn't mean that it is right. Feel good merely says that God is good, that does not totally remove the good effect of what He has created. That's why it is the grace of God that in our mistake, we still get to experience the pleasure or the blessing of what we have done. But our heart and our motive must want to be obedient to the point of 100%, so that we can experience the fullness of God's design, which is what He wants for us. Think about it. If God loves us, that's what He wants. He wants us to enjoy the 100% fullness. So if you want to enjoy the 100% fullness of the designs of sex, then make sure you comply it with the guideline that God has given, so that you can experience this extra part that in marriage, which I talked to you about, that somehow when it's performed in marriage and in the right environment, in full obedience and compliance with the system that God put in place, you will experience something that very few other people will ever experience, which is the extra 10% to fill up the fullness of the design. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah. So this, William, what you are saying is only a certain aspect, but I'm trying to look at it as a whole. Yeah. Even condom is not correct. That I agree with you. Condom is not correct because your intention. That's why these are people trying to experience the food. Twist it. They twist it. They twist it so that they can avoid the problems, right? In the problems of disobedience. You see, if you disobey in the olden days, if you disobey, you are in the danger of getting pregnant. So you want to avoid the danger of getting pregnant, yet continue to disobey. That's where condom comes in. But what is missing, what is lacking, is the spiritual fullness. Yeah, and also avoid responsibility. Correct. But all these, they fail to see is that they will forever deny themselves of experiencing that fullness. Okay? I want to share it with you so that for you all, as you move forward, right? If you want to experience that fullness of God's design, right? Then be patient and be and persevere and resist, endure until the full you comply fully to the guideline of God. Make sense? Don't lose your patience. It's what I want to encourage you, so that you can have the opportunity to experience the fullness. Can understand what I'm saying? Any question? If no, then I pass back to Steve.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, and we shall continue from here. Okay, so last week we also talked about sex. The author asked about sex is strictly a private matter. So this is also what sir have shared just now. If we follow God's way, then we will experience it, and we will feel it will lead us to the greatest fulfillment in the end. So we have to be patient and follow God's will.
Okay, let go back one slide. Let me just compose in it.
Okay.
The failure to obey fully to the system. Why is it not a private matter? Look at the consequences. The impact of people, same-sex marriage, premarital sex. Look at the impact on society today. Children growing up in single family, in broken homes. So their mindset is how to say warped, is twisted, is salah. And they grow up in a society and more people like that. That's why now you have a lot of society issues. In sociology, they are seeing that now. Society is struggling, community is struggling, is having a lot of issues with teenage problems, suicide problems, abuse problem. Where did that come from? Part of it is because of sex applied out of God's design. So the consequence is not a private matter. Consequence now is a society matter. It's a problem that society have to suffer. Correct? Look at society today. Right? I watch Judge Judy on Facebook a lot, and a lot of divorce struggle. And Judge Judy keeps saying this for people who staying together but are not married, and they have children and possession. He keeps saying, sorry, our law don't have anything written about how to deal with people who live together but are not married. And you see them fighting, getting angry with each other. And the repercussions, struggle on the children, fighting for custody. Who should the child stay with? How many days should the child stay with the father, stay with the mother? I don't know how many other issues. So the problem is no longer private. It involves the child. And now Judge Judy and the society have to provide a law system, a court to go and try to help them solve the problem. Correct? Not private. Definitely not private. Okay? Okay. Stephen.
Okay. Yeah. Then we have looked into this verse, means the husband and the wife, they will after marriage they will become one flesh. Okay, which is they will union. Okay, they will live in union. So okay, then we will move into the second part, how to live it practically. And then this one last week also talk about a little bit is for single person. For single person, sometimes they will feel passionate to move into sexual life because they want to feel it, then they want the experience. They thought that after they have the sexual experience, they will fulfill something. So this is not right. So the author also suggests to us, says that to resist this type of temptation, we have to, through God. Okay, only God can fill an empty heart, and how we meet God is from prayer. Okay, and then secondly, single person have to join in this type of community. The first one is their standard is not based on physical beauty and wealth. Okay, their chosen of the spouse is not based on this type of choices. Then the second one, the community who do not make family an idol. Then the third one is community should have an open discussion, okay, about the Bible perspective on sex in husband and wife life, that now we are doing lah. Okay, and then Yeah, Martin Luther also says that temptation is cannot avoid, but how do you say? We cannot prevent the birds from flying over our heads. There's no need that we should let them nest in our hair. Okay. Okay, today we're going to move into the inner dialogue. Okay, for this subtopic, the authors use this story is talking about the Jane Eyre. Okay, this story is about the main character James is fall in love with Mr. Rochester. Okay, Mr. Rochester already married and he have a mentally ill wife. He is rich, but he feel lonely and miserable. So everyone around James asked James to follow Mr. Rochester. But in James' heart, this touch of an inner storm and conflicts. However, she managed to stay firm and said that I will keep the law given by God. I will hold the principle when I was sent and not met. So she ignored what her heart says and looked to what God says. So this story tell us sometimes laws and principles are not for the times when there is no temptation. If you only obey to God's words when it seems reasonable or profitable to you, that isn't really obedience at all. Obedience means that you give up the authority over you even when you don't agree. Means something example submit to God. Okay, when body and soul rise in mutiny against their wrath, learn how to plant your foot. Okay, anything to add on, sir?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Remember the Genesis when Adam and Eve sinned. This is very important for us to understand. Remember Adam and Eve sinned. When Adam and Eve sinned, serpent came to Adam and Eve and say, "Look, doesn't that thing look good?" And then tells him, "If you eat the fruit will give you wisdom, knowledge of good and evil, and then you'll be like God." So now you have two things. One side, the serpent somehow get Adam and Eve to imagine the potential of the fruit. And then, wow, it has the power to make me like, wow. You know what I'm saying? So the imagination of the things that make you feel good. Then on the other hand, the other side, God say that's why he replied. What did he reply? He said, God say cannot eat. Cannot even touch, God say. You see, this is something we all struggle with. You have to understand. Principles versus emotion. Principles versus the desire. The impatient desire. Do we obey the principle or do we listen to our desire? We all struggle it. Ever since then, we have inherited the same struggle. And this is something we will always struggle. And this is what this is. This is why it's called the inner dialogue. The conversation inside we go through. Okay? That's why I want to try to show you that actually from Genesis, the first sin, this is the same dialogue that it goes on. Any question there? Okay, Steve.
Okay. Then next one. Okay, we're going to look into the erotic marriage. Okay. Each partner in marriage is to be most concerned not with getting sexual pleasure, but with giving it. The greatest sexual pleasure should be the pleasure of seeing your spouse getting pleasure. The author gives us an example when they both get married, they are feeling struggles and failures. After they try, they stop worry about their own performance in sex. Then they start think about what can we do to give something to the others. So they try and try. After that, they feel the climax in sex. So the key point is stop worry about their own performance, and they have to think what they have to give to their spouse. And then the second thing is about what most satisfy context for sex. Is it time? Is it timing? Okay, is it timing or environment or something else? So the author says the most important thing is to preparing for sex emotionally. Have some environment like warm environment and conversation to each other and something like that. Okay, then the last advice by the author is be very patient with each other. Yeah. Any comment?
Not until next time you got problem, you come and ask me advice. Very difficult to discuss it here until you struggle with it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what your struggle will be like. What in what aspect? But the only thing I can say to you is, in what way can you train for it? Is to learn to train not to focus on your needs now, even now. Now, how do you do that? Okay, take for instance, don't talk about sex. Let's talk about anything. Talk about, let's say, convenience. Talk about house chores. Talk about when I'm busy and my partner is not. It's easy for us to recognize I'm busy. How come my partner cannot do it for themselves? Or so why can't he or she see that I'm so busy? Why still need me to help? I'm already so busy. You see? This will carry forward into sex. I don't feel like having sex right now. Can you see? I'm too tired right now. Can't you see? Is it the same thing? So it's being able to deny. It's learning to deny. Meaning, never mind. I'm not sure why the person's asking me for help. I know I'm busy, but I deny. But because I stopped jumping into the conclusion that I'm more busy than the other person, and I will do what is necessary to focus on the other person's need. And so the other person asked me to help, right? If really cannot, then I would say, okay, let me finish this thing first. I really cannot. I need to finish this thing. I will come back to you and help you as soon as I get the urgent part. What is urgent done? Does that make sense? Now, if you are able to apply that, then this you will learn how to apply. I can tell you it's very difficult. Very difficult. Okay? We easily can jump to the especially when we are tired or when we are extremely busy, when we are stretched. That is the best time to check whether you can put yourself aside. Because to be honest, in fact, same thing. Very often, the spouse will not have the same, will not desire sex at the same time. Correct? It will not. The both party will not equally. It's not like movie. Movie shows the desire same time, right? But that's not true. Most of the time, you don't. When one party desires, the other party is not in the mood, or the other party is too busy. So, think about it. Every time when one party is in the mood and the other party is not, right? And if you focus on self, I don't feel like it tonight. Do you think the other party will want to express the desire the next time? After a few times, the person who has the desire will say what? Aya, no need lah. It's not the right time lah. I always not the right time one. Correct? 2, 3 times, 4 times, it's always not the right time one. What do you think will happen? Then done, no? Then this specific contribution to the fullness of marriage becomes lacking. No? That's why this part here that Steve just shared, not easy to practice. So you have to start practicing here and now in the other areas. Can you say to yourself, yeah, I know I'm busy. I know I have a lot of things to do. I know I'm tired. Can I still put that aside? Especially when the other person has expressed, oh, I need your help. Can't you see I'm tired? I got more things to do than you are. Correct? Tough, let me say this. But that is the beginning of practicing this. Okay, Steve.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for sharing. Okay. Then we also, secondly, we don't forget the importance of erotic love in marriage. Okay. Refer to the Genesis 1:28. It says that be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. So God designed sex for husband and wife. One of the important role is men were to take wives in order to have legal heirs. So we have to multiply and have our future children. Okay.
Let me go back here. Let me just add a little bit. I thought about it.
Yeah, can.
Don't be fruitful and multiply useless descendants. You know what I'm saying or not? A lot of people are having sex and multiplying children. But they are not fruitful children. Be fruitful and multiply. Multiply what? Multiply physical human being, just another person, or multiply constructive, productive, positive, good human beings. We are not animals. Animals don't care. Be fruitful and multiply. That's why Matthew chapter 28, last verse, and 1 Timothy 2:2. God explained what multiply means. He says, the things you have learned in 2 Timothy 2:2. God says, or Paul says to Timothy, the things that you learn from me, entrust to faithful men who will be able to teach others also. There, Paul states very clearly, multiply godly Christians. Don't multiply hopeless human beings. And who is responsible for that? Parents. Not fully responsible, not 100% responsible, but the foundation of a child is the parents. Right? So think very clearly, be fruitful and multiply. So don't take the word multiply lightly as only to imply physical multiplication. No. Holistic multiplication. You multiply to grow a healthy human being, both heart, soul, mind, and body. Now that makes parenthood responsibility very high. That's why I've been watching some of the movies. Sometimes in America, you have these people, these men going around sleeping, and having many children. Then are they obeying God's command here in Genesis 1:28? Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. They are filling their place with a lot of their children. But they have no children that they have multiplied, have no good godly home to grow up in, to multiply, to become godly adult human beings. Do you want that kind of multiply? No. If you look at it carefully, you connect with New Testament multiply, it is meant to, multiply is not just the sex. Multiply is the beginning of multiplication is only the sex, the creation of the physical being. But the parent also have the responsibility to continue to grow into the child, the spiritual being. That's why the parent responsibility of multiplication is not just their child. Can? Okay, Steve.
Can, yeah, thank you. Yeah, just for add on the verse also, the one verse previous 1:27 also says that because that one is say God is create one man and one woman, then they are blessed by God, then continue with this, be fruitful and multiply. So means that one couples, okay, they are blessed in front of God, then they just go to how to say to multiply the the children, yeah. So it's blessed by the God. Okay, let's continue with this. Okay, this one is sex as a test. Okay, there may be guilt, fears, or anger over past relationship, and there may be growing mistrust or disrespect or unresolved differences in present relationship. So by the time going, okay, after marriage, many years, times, children, illness, and age all bring changes that may require creative, disciplined responses to rebuild a sexual intimacy that was easier at an earlier time. If you don't confront and adapt to these changes, they will erode your sex life. So means we have to work up now, okay? When a couple, after a couple have married, so they have to always keep in mind they have met. There is many changes in their life, but they have to how to say, they have to communicate and work it out together. Okay, any comment?
I think I'm not sure how true this is. I think it's very difficult to have good sex if you still have problems. Good healthy sex. That means the sex that both sides feel both sides have both the spouses, when they have sex, they have good sex. You can't have that when you have unresolved problem. You can have one-sided sex. Men easy to have one-sided sex. Let me say this. Okay? Yeah. For men, I think sex is a physical activity. Woman is not. I think. So woman, if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong. But I think women find it very difficult to have sex if other emotionally she don't feel right. Men can, right? Men is just a physical activity. And this is where men will have to learn. That's why, in a way, you can see sex as a test. When the man want to have sex, and then the woman keeps saying no, right? It's a good sign to remember. Oh, there's something not right. Go and try to resolve it. Maybe work towards to a point where eventually the woman can say yes. Not yes because want to submit to you. Yes, because she really wants it, right? And I think that's the case, anyway, for you, just for you all to know, I this is for me still one-sided. I don't understand fully, but just this ties into sex as a test. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. The author also says that sex in a marriage is equal to like a oil in an engine. Okay, without it, the frictions between all the moving parts will burn out the motor. So means that without joyful, loving sex, the friction in a marriage will bring about anger, resentment, hardness, and disappointment. So that means we never give up working on your sex life after marriage. Okay, then the last one is the glory of sex. Okay, this one actually the part, the description, the author write it very shortly, and I'm not so fully understand, but I try my best. Then after that, sir, please help me to add on. Yeah. Okay, so this part is according to the verse 1 Corinthians 11. It says that the head of Christ is God, the head of a wife is her husband. So means Christ, Jesus submit to God, and means Jesus, how to say, he fulfill what the fathers want, and then also father will give him back the honor. So it's a two ways lah. So it reflects that the joys, self-giving, and pleasures of love within the marriage. So, sir, maybe need your help. Or anyone got any comment?
So muted, is it?
Okay.
Oh,
A
okay.
little bit. I do not agree with the author lah, but yet I agree with the title, "The Glory of Sex." You see, what is glory? Glory is when you reach the peak, When you reach the top of Mount Everest, wow, you feel very glorious. It's like, wow, I have reached the peak. I've reached the very top, the fullness. Okay. Now, our Christian life on earth is eventually to reach the union with God, the relationship. In other words, to reach a point where we experience the closeness with God. That's why the marriage of the church to the Lamb, to Christ, the marriage of church to Christ, meaning there is this union. Eventually, the fullness of our experience of the relationship with Christ, which also, and Christ's fullness of the experience of his relationship with the Father will also be available to us as his church or as his spouse. In other words, we can have a relationship with God the Father, the kind of union of the relationship which is close. Okay? Now, that is what sex between a husband and wife, the union of the experience. That's why, remember, I talked to you about the fullness of the experience of sex as it was designed by God. Do you want to experience that fullness of sex in a physical union, in a marriage, and in the experience of the marriage, which is a image, which is a representation of that fullness of our relationship with Jesus as the church to Christ?
A bit chim oh.
Any sharing from others?
Also,
Jinwei is not here.
sorry.
Okay,
Also,
okay,
also the experience of the relationship. I don't know how to. It will be very cheap. It's also very cheap to me. Why? Because we all fall short. But you see, our life on earth, a lot of the experience we have on earth, right? We are created in the image of God. That means we have the potential to experience a lot of things with God. But the more we disobey and did not comply with the law, then we will fall short. That's why for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Fallen short of the glory of God implies that we have fallen short being able to achieve our potential. Also means we will fall short of being able to experience the blessing that God has put together with the design. You understand what I'm saying? It's the same with anything. If certain design, every design, when you is designed properly and you comply with the way you handle the design, you will be able to experience what it can give you. You don't comply, you don't follow the design fully, you'll miss out on the fullness of the experience of what it can give you. Okay? And a lot of the experience we have today as a Christian in obedience to the law that God has given us is only a foretaste. A foretaste means a little taste of what is more. That means next time you can taste more. Today you can taste some, but the fullness of the some you can taste today, condition is you comply with God's law. You follow it, you will be able to experience the sum that as much as you can while on earth. And that sum will help you to look forward and say, wow, this one I really like, I really enjoy, I really happy with this blessing that God has given on earth. That means that when I go to heaven, that experience is even better. So it makes me look forward. Sex has that glory if you comply fully to its design. That after you experience that fullness of that union relationship, then you will say, wow, that means our union with Jesus and our union with God the Father, the feeling must be so much more. Okay? And this is what glory means. Glory is that feeling and that experience when you reach the peak. So when we have sinned and fall short of the glory, that means we have fallen from so that we cannot reach the peak. Question very simple only. We all want to be happy, right? Do you want to the happiness, the fullness of the happiness that God has put in place in designing us and designing the work, life on earth? If you want, you must comply with the law that God has put in place for how life on earth functions. The more we comply, the more we'll be able to experience closer to the fullness of life on earth. And this fullness of the experience of life on earth is only a foretaste, only a part of the higher experience that you can achieve next time when you go to heaven and come to union with Jesus and come to union with God the Father. That's the best I can do. I don't know how else to explain to you. Now, honestly, I fall short. But helping me understand is good. Then I keep looking forward on how to improve in order to improve my experience of the fullness. So I improve my obedience and so that I can improve my experience of the fullness that God intended. Because now I want the fullness, which is what the Bible talks about. The New Testament always talk about. The whole purpose of Paul teaching and guiding his disciples is to be able to guide them and teach them and bring them to the fullness of the experience of the Christian life in obedience to the way God designed life to be. That's his sole purpose. And that is the whole purpose also for all this teaching, for going through all these classes. And in this case, in order for us to experience the fullness of sex and marriage, we need to understand the design of sex and marriage. And that will give us a chance to try to live up to the guidelines or the laws of sex and marriage, so that we have a chance to experience its fullness, and so that we have a chance to also look forward, because this is supposed to give us an idea of even a greater fullness next time when we go to heaven and have our relationship with Jesus and have our relationship with God the Father. Okay. Any question? I don't know how else to talk, except if you ask question.
Okay, thank you, sir, for the add-on explanation. And any other question? If no, my presentation until here. Thank you.
Any other question on this topic? Okay.
So far, no question yet.
Yeah.
Let me digest.
Okay, maybe something worthwhile for us to think about in the future. Right? Now, I wonder if we good, even in the future, once you, even for us, next time after you get married, set up a marriage group, continue discussion. It is not easy at all, and there is no support group. None. You don't find any support group to talk about, to help young married couple, or even old married couple for that matter, who have problem with marriage and sex. And it's difficult, right? Setting up the group is difficult, but living out a happy sex and marriage life without any support, without anybody to discuss with, to ask questions, for help, is even difficult. And our society don't have, right? Yeah. Well, there are some churches who manage to do that, and the pastor have some of this, but very rare. Not that anybody have the answers for you, but I am sure there are ways, there are things we can learn from each other to help each other to improve, so that we can experience and improve this topic, this area. Okay, maybe what is called marriage support group, something like that. Yeah. Okay. You chào cái gì?
Huh? Oh, huh. So, okay, so we have finished the whole chapter, the whole chapter of the books, and next week is the appendix, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Ha.
Okay. Anybody want to take appendix? Anybody have done it? Prepared anything on appendix yet? Anybody want to take it up? Hey, I thought lockdown everybody free what? Got plenty of time, what? I'm gonna leave it open. You want to do, you do. By next week, Sunday, please let the group know lah. Okay. We leave it like that lah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sunday,
Lor.
confirm by Sunday. Post it up in the group. Just
Okay.
say I just key in. I will try to lead something like that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. But everybody must do one. It's the week after. Everybody must do one the week after. Is what I've learned. Okay. How I can improve or better prepare myself. So basically, is the what and the why. The what and why. What is marriage all about according to God, and why certain things like this? What are some of the you share lah? Why is it important to you? And then how can I prepare myself to in order to improve my marriage? Okay. Yeah.
So can you type the question in chat later in the WhatsApp group? Oh,
Is it
okay.
this?
Yay!
In WhatsApp group, then so
three words only. 3 words only. What, why, and how?
Why is
Why is this important? Why is this important to you?
thanks, QQ.
Walao.
Yeah.
Put in our chat, WhatsApp.
Yeah. Always these 3 questions is always very important. What is this about? What is marriage about? Okay. What is right and wrong about it? Why? Why is it right? Why is it wrong? Or why is it important to me? And then how? How can I prepare myself so that I can go through have a better marriage? Okay. Now it becomes personal because you will probably centered upon the how will be more centered upon tackling the weakness that you see. Maybe you see in your own environment. You see among your friends or your own personal weakness which you feel may hinder marriage, something like that lah. Okay, personal sharing. Each one, how many of us are here? 1, 2, 3, 4,
2,
5,
4, 6, 7. Hey,
7
6.
6 only, right?
6.
So each one 20 minutes.
Yeah. Should be more than enough lah. 30 minutes.
Okay, each one let's say 15 minutes, but you can stretch to 20 minutes. Okay, now.
All
So
right.
we set it at each one 15 minutes. Plus minus little bit, never mind.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
15 minutes, how many slides? If you prepare slide, 4 slides.
3, 4 slides about.
Yeah. More than that, you will end up longer already. 3, 4
Yeah.
slides. Yeah. Okay, Okay. So you can start preparing already, because
Alright.
don't wait until last minute,
All right.
Okay, that's it.
Oh, and just a reminder, from today onwards, the contribution I have already changed to if you wanted to if you wanted to contribute the contribution, I already changed the account to Sir's account. All right.
Have I explained to you all about the changes?
Yeah.
Not right?
You
Okay.
last week already explained.
Okay, good. Okay.
No, it's just that I wanted to reminder that the account is changed already. It's not Kimberly's account anymore. It's Sir's account already.
Okay, good. Thanks, QQ.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's all. Any other last minute question? If not, good night.
Or any updates? Anything? If none, then no question. All right. No comment. No anything.
Okay.
All
then,
right.
Good night, everybody. Take care.
Good night.
Be safe.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.